I always thought love sounded like silence, quiet, safe, and steady. That was before I met Mark. The first time Mark smiled at me, my heart jumped like it had been waiting all its life. He was charming in a soft way, not loud, not proud, just warm, or so I believed. My name is Emily Carter. I come from a family people whisper about. Old money, real money. The kind that built libraries and hospitals, not just big houses. Mark knew that. I just didn't know how much. We met at a charity dinner my mother forced me to attend. I was bored, standing near the drink table, when Mark spilled red wine on his own shirt trying to talk to me. Great start, he laughed, holding up the glass. I promise I'm usually smoother than this. I laughed, that was it. That laugh changed my life. Mark was a middle school teacher, or so he said. He talked about kids, lesson plans, and how hard life was. He made me feel useful, needed. You're different, Emily, he told me on our third date. You listen, most people don't. I listened because I cared. 6 months later, he proposed under a streetlight, not even a ring at first, just shaking hands and a voice that cracked. I don't have much, he said, but I have my heart. I said yes. My parents were polite, cold but polite. He seems nice, my father, Robert Carter, said, but be careful. I thought my father didn't understand love. I was wrong. We married small. Mark said big weddings were a waste of money. I thought he was humble. I admired that. After the wedding, he moved into my family's guest house, not our main home. My parents believed in earning trust. Mark never complained, not once. Your family worked hard for this, he said. I respect that. I loved him more every time he said it. At night, he held me close. You're my miracle, he whispered. I'll never leave you. I believed him. Then my grandmother died. Evelyn Carter was the real power in our family. She owned the land, the companies, the secrets. When she spoke, people listened. When she died, everything changed. The will reading was set for Friday morning at the old Carter estate. Lawyers, family, silence thick like fog. Mark acted strange that week. He paced. He checked his phone too much. He asked questions he never asked before. Do you think your grandma left you the lake house? He asked one night. I don't know, I said. It's not about that. He smiled, but his eyes stayed sharp. What about the investment accounts? Your father manages them, right? I shrugged. Mark, it doesn't matter, we're fine. He kissed my forehead, but his arms felt loose, not tight like before. On Thursday night, he barely touched his food. You okay? I asked. Just nervous, he said. Big family stuff. I reached for his hand. We'll face it together. He pulled his hand back to check his phone. Of course, he said quickly. Together. Friday morning came cold and gray. We drove to the estate in silence. The gates opened slowly, like the place itself was watching us. Inside the main hall, long chairs were set in rows. My parents sat in front. My Aunt Susan dabbed her eyes. My cousin Jake stared at the floor. The lawyer, Mr. Harris, cleared his throat. We will begin shortly. Mark leaned toward me. Bathroom, he whispered. Be right back. I nodded. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. The lawyer started reading. Evelyn Carter, being of sound mind. I looked back. Mark's seat was empty. My heart skipped. I texted him, no reply. The lawyer continued. I leave my primary residence to my daughter, Margaret Carter. Still nothing. My palms grew wet. I stood up quietly and walked outside. Mark was on the phone near the fountain. I don't care, he said, voice low and sharp. If she doesn't get it, I'm done. I froze. He turned, saw me, and jumped. Emily. Who were you talking to? I asked. He forced a smile. Just work stuff. Why did you say I'm done? He sighed hard, like I was the problem. Emily, this is a lot. I didn't sign up for all this drama. My chest tightened. It's my grandmother's will. Exactly, he snapped. Your family, your money, your mess. I stared at him. You're leaving, I whispered. He looked back at the building, then at me. I think we need space, he said. I'll go stay with a friend. Mark, I said, please just sit with me. He shook his head. I can't pretend anymore. Pretend. That word hit me harder than a slap. What do you mean? I asked. He grabbed his jacket. I thought marrying you would make life easier, he said. I thought your family's wealth would open doors. I felt dizzy. But it's just waiting and rules and old people controlling everything. Tears burned my eyes. So you use me? I asked. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. He walked past me, through the gate and out of my life. I stood there shaking as the lawyer's voice echoed inside. I walked back in alone. My mother looked at me, confused. Where, Mark? She whispered. He left, I said. The lawyer kept reading. I leave the controlling shares of Carter Holdings to be placed in trust. My ears rang. I barely heard the rest. After the reading, my father took me home. I didn't cry, not yet. That night, Mark texted. I'm sorry, I just can't do this. I stared at the message. Then I deleted his contact. 3 days passed. Then a week. No calls. No apologies. Just silence. I moved through my days like a ghost. Then my father asked me to come to his office. Emily, he said gently, there's something you should know. He slid a folder across the desk. The will had a private section, he said, for you. I opened it. Inside was a letter from my grandmother. Emily, my dear, love can blind even the smartest heart. I have protected you the only way I know how. My hands shook. What does this mean? I asked. My father's voice was calm, steady. It means, he said, nothing goes to your husband unless he stays married to you for 5 years. My breath caught. And Mark, I whispered. My father leaned back. He walked away from more than he knows. That night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Emily, Mark's voice said, soft and sweet again. Can we talk? I smiled for the first time in weeks. But it wasn't love anymore. It was something else. Something colder. Didn't answer Mark right away. I let the phone buzz in my hand until it stopped. Then it buzzed again, and again. Emily, please, his voice message said. I made a mistake. I laughed. The sound surprised me. It came out sharp, almost ugly. I pressed stop. Mistake. That's what people call it when their plans fail. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. The next morning, my phone was full of messages. Long ones, short ones, missed calls stacked like bricks. Mark switched tones fast. I miss you. I was stressed. You know I love you. You're overreacting. That last one made my hands shake. I didn't reply. Instead, I dressed carefully. Simple dress, clean shoes, calm face. My grandmother always said the best armor is looking unbothered. I went to my father's office again. Sit, he said when he saw my face. You've decided something. Yes, I said. I want to understand everything. He nodded and slid another file toward me. Your grandmother was very careful, he said. She suspected Mark early. I swallowed. How? She hired a private investigator, my father said gently, before the wedding. My heart dropped. You knew, I asked. I didn't, he said. She kept it quiet, even from me. I opened the file. Photos, notes, dates. Mark meeting with a man in a suit. Mark Googling my family assets. Mark asking questions about trusts and inheritance months before proposing. My stomach turned. He wasn't a teacher, I whispered. No, my father said. He worked part-time. The rest was ambition. I closed the file. So what now? I asked. My father studied me. Now, he said, you decide whether you want peace or justice. That word sat heavy between us. Justice. I went home and poured myself coffee I didn't drink. My phone buzzed again. Mark. I finally answered. Emily, he said quickly, relief flooding his voice. Thank God. Why are you calling? I asked calmly. Silence. I miss you, he said. I shouldn't have left like that. You abandoned me at my grandmother's while reading, I said. You said you were done. I was overwhelmed, he said. You know how your family is. I smiled. You mean wealthy? No, he said too fast. Powerful. I leaned back on the couch. Say what you want, Mark, I said. Just don't lie. Another pause. I didn't mean it like that, he said. I just felt useless. That's funny, I said. You never looked useless while counting my family's money. He exhaled hard. So you know, he said. Yes, I replied. I know. His voice softened again, like he was turning a knob. Emily, he said, we can fix this. I overreacted. Let's meet, please. I thought of my grandmother's letter, her careful words, her quiet protection. Fine, I said. Dinner tonight. He sounded relieved. Thank you, he said. You won't regret it. I hung up and laughed again. He had no idea. That evening, I wore the necklace my grandmother gave me. Simple pearl, nothing flashy. Mark was already at the restaurant when I arrived. He stood up too fast, knocking his chair. There you are, he said, smiling wide. I studied him, same face, same hair, different eyes. He reached for my hands. I'm sorry, he said. I panicked. I pulled my hands back gently. Let's just talk, I said. We ordered food. He talked first. I've been miserable, he said. I couldn't sleep. I realized money doesn't matter without you. I raised an eyebrow. That's new. He chuckled nervously. I was stupid, he said. I let fear win. Fear of what? I asked. He hesitated. Being nothing, he said. Standing next to your family made me feel small. That part sounded real, almost. And leaving me fix that? I asked. He looked down. I thought if I walked away I'd feel stronger, he said, but I didn't. I nodded slowly. I see. He leaned forward. So, can we start over? I took a sip of water. Why now? I asked. He looked up quickly. What do you mean? You left without caring how I felt, I said. Why do you care now? His answer came too fast. Because I love you. There it was, too smooth. I smiled sadly. You know, I said, my grandmother always said love shows up when things are hard, not when they're convenient. His smile slipped. What are you saying? He asked. I'm saying, I replied, you didn't show up. He reached for my hand again, stronger this time. I'm here now, he said. Let me prove it. I let him hold my hand. For now. After dinner, he walked me to my car. I'll call you later, he said. Don't, I said lightly. I'll call you. He nodded, hopeful. That hope made me feel powerful. The next morning, my cousin Jake came over. I heard Mark's back, he said. Trying, I replied. Jake shook his head. Be careful, he said. Guys like that don't change, they adjust. I smiled. That's okay, I said. So do I. Over the next few days, I let Mark back in. Slowly, carefully. Lunches, texts, apologies. He was perfect. Too perfect. I've been thinking, he said one afternoon. Maybe we should talk to your father, clear the air. I kept my face calm. Why? I asked. I want to show him I'm serious, he said. About us. About something else, I thought. I'll think about it, I said. That night, my phone rang again. A woman's voice this time. Is this Emily Carter? She asked. Yes. This is Lisa, she said. Mark's girlfriend. My heart skipped. Excuse me, I said. We've been seeing each other for months, she said. He told me you were separated. I closed my eyes. Why are you calling me? I asked. Because he just told me he's trying to get back with you, she said, and I think you should know. I thanked her and hung up. Then I laughed. Loud. Free. The pieces clicked together. Mark wasn't begging for love. He was begging for time. Time to fix what he broke, time to stay married, time to qualify. I walked to my desk and pulled out my grandmother's letter again. 5 years. He hadn't even made it to 2. My phone buzzed. Mark. Emily, he said, I miss you already. I looked out the window at the city lights. I know, I said softly. And for the first time, I meant something very different than he did. Because now, I wasn't waiting to be chosen. I was deciding how much he would lose. I didn't tell Mark about Lisa. Not yet. I wanted to see how far he would go, how deep the lies ran. My grandmother always said the truth shows itself when you stop interrupting it. So I stayed quiet. The next time Mark came over, he brought flowers. Too many. Big, red, dramatic. For us, he said, smiling like a movie hero. I took them and placed them on the counter without smelling them. Sit, I said. He sat fast, nervous energy bouncing in his knee. I've been thinking about the future, he said, about rebuilding trust. That sounds nice, I said. He relaxed a little. I even talked to a counselor, he added. I want to be better. I nodded. For me, he said quickly, for us. I looked straight at him. Mark, I said, do you love me? He didn't hesitate. Of course. That was mistake number 1. Because people who love you pause. They feel the weight of the word. Then why did you leave me when I needed you most? I asked. His smile faded. I told you, he said. I panicked. Mistake number 2. Same answer, rehearsed. I leaned closer. And why do you still lie? I asked softly. His eyes flickered. What lie? He asked. I stood up and walked to the window. Lisa, I said calmly. The room went silent. I turned back slowly. His face was pale. You talked to her? He asked. She called me, I said. Funny how truth travels. He stood up. It's not what it looks like, he said quickly. She means nothing. That's exactly what you told me about your job, I said. He ran a hand through his hair. I was confused, he said. I didn't think you wanted me anymore. I laughed. You left me, I said, then blamed me for it. He stepped closer. Emily, please, he said. I made mistakes, but my heart is with you. I looked at him and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just clarity. You don't miss me, I said. You miss access. He froze. What? He asked. My family, I said. My name, my future. He scoffed. That's not fair, he said. You think I'd fake love for money. I raised an eyebrow. You did, I said, for almost 2 years. His voice dropped. You don't know how it feels, he said, living in your shadow. My shadow, I asked. You mean my protection? He clenched his jaw. I could have had a better life, he said, if your family wasn't so controlling. That was mistake number 3. He showed his teeth. I walked past him and opened the door. Leave, I said. He stared at me. You're throwing us away, he asked. There was no us, I said, only you pretending. He didn't move. I won't leave, he said. I'm your husband. I smiled. Barely, I said, and not for long. Something dark crossed his face. You think you're smarter than me? He asked. I know I am, I replied. He stepped back, shocked. You'll regret this, he said. I shrugged. People usually regret leaving, I said, not being left. He stormed out. That night, I didn't cry. I planned. The next morning, my father called me. Mark requested a meeting, he said. I smiled. Did he? I said. How bold. He wants to discuss reconciliation, my father said, and assets. There it was. Tell him yes, I said, but only if I'm present. My father paused. You're sure? He asked. Yes, I said, it's time. The meeting was set for Friday. 2 days later. Mark texted nonstop. I'm proud of you. I want to earn their respect. I want to be a real partner. Each message made me calmer. Because I knew something he didn't. The trust. The clause. The clock. On Thursday night, Lisa called again. He's moving out, she said. He told me he chose you. I sighed. He chose himself, I said. He always does. What are you going to do? She asked. I thought for a moment. I'm going to let him finish what he started, I said. Friday came. Mark wore his best suit, the one my mother once complimented. We sat across from my father and our family lawyer. Mark spoke first. I love Emily, he said. I want to rebuild our marriage. My father looked at me. I nodded. We're open to discussion, I said calmly. Mark's eyes lit up. I believe marriage means unity, he said. Shared future, shared responsibility. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. And shared consequences, he said. Mark frowned. What do you mean? He asked. I folded my hands. Mark, I said sweetly, did you know my grandmother believed in loyalty tests? He blinked. No, he said. She believed people reveal their true selves under pressure, I continued, especially around money. My father slid a document across the table. Mark reached for it eagerly, then paused. His smile slowly disappeared. What is this? He asked. Read it, my father said. Mark's fingers trembled as he scanned the page. This isn't right, he said. I leaned in. It's very right, I said. His voice cracked. You're telling me I get nothing, he asked. Not nothing, I corrected. You get exactly what you earned. He looked at me like a stranger. You planned this, he whispered. I tilted my head. No, I said. You did, the moment you walked away. His chair scraped as he stood. You tricked me, he shouted. I stayed seated. No, I said calmly. I let you be yourself. The lawyer cleared his throat. The meeting is over, he said. Mark looked around, desperate. Emily, he said softly, please. I met his eyes. And for the first time, he looked afraid. But this still wasn't the end. Not yet. Because the clause had one final condition. And Mark hadn't realized what he'd just agreed to. Not at all. Mark didn't leave the building right away. He sat there, frozen, like the floor had disappeared under his feet. The confident man who once walked out on me during the will reading now looked small, lost. But not sorry. This isn't fair, he said again, his voice low. You let me believe there was a chance. I stood up slowly. There was a chance, I said. For honesty, you chose lies. He followed me into the hallway. Emily, please, he said. I'll do anything. I stopped walking. Anything? I asked. His eyes lit up. Yes, he said quickly. I swear. I smiled. Good, I said, because there's one more thing. He leaned closer, desperate. My grandmother added a final condition, I said calmly, one you just agreed to by asking for reconciliation. He frowned. What condition? He asked. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I walked outside into the sunlight. He followed. Emily, he said, stop playing games. I turned. The trust only activates, I said slowly, if you prove loyalty in public. His face relaxed. That's it, he said. I can do that. I nodded. Good, I said, because everyone will be watching. What do you mean? He asked. I pulled out my phone and showed him the event invitation. Carter Foundation Annual Gala. Tonight. Black tie. Media present. His mouth went dry. You want me to go with you? He asked. Not just go, I said. Stand beside me. He swallowed. Of course, he said. I'll do whatever you want. I smiled. That evening the house buzzed with movement. Stylists, assistants, security. Mark arrived early, hair perfect, confidence slowly returning. You look amazing, he said. So do you, I replied. That was a lie. Inside the ballroom, cameras flashed, reporters whispered, old friends smiled. Mark squeezed my hand. See, he whispered, we're good together. I leaned toward him. Smile, I whispered back, they're watching. During dinner, he played the role well. He laughed. He praised me. He called me his wife again and again. Then came the speeches. My father stepped onto the stage. Tonight, he said, we honor loyalty, legacy, and truth. Mark straightened. This foundation exists because my mother believed wealth means nothing without character, my father continued. I felt Mark tense. He didn't know. He never did. And tonight, my father said, we also welcome a special announcement. The lights dimmed. A screen lowered behind the stage. I stood up. Mark looked at me, confused. Emily, he whispered. I took the microphone. Thank you all for being here, I said. I want to share a personal story. The room fell silent. My grandmother taught me that love should not be tested with words, I continued, but with actions. The screen lit up. Photos appeared. Mark at the will reading, missing. Mark walking away from the estate. Text messages flashed. I thought marrying you would make life easier. Gasps filled the room. Mark's grip tightened. Emily, stop, he hissed. I kept going. She also believed betrayal should be seen, I said calmly, not hidden. Another image appeared. Mark holding hands with Lisa. More gasps. His face went white. This isn't real, he shouted. Lisa stood up from the back of the room. It is, she said loudly. The room exploded with whispers. Security moved closer. Mark turned to me, eyes wild. You promised, he said. You said I just had to prove loyalty. I met his stare. You did, I said softly, and you proved the opposite. My father returned to the stage. The trust clause is now void, he said, permanently. Mark collapsed into his chair. Cameras flashed faster. Please, he whispered, don't do this. I leaned down so only he could hear. You begged for what you lost, I said. Now you understand why. Security approached. Sir, one said, you need to leave. Mark stood unsteadily. He looked around, no friendly faces, no support. Just judgment. As he was escorted out, he turned back one last time. Emily, he cried, I loved you. I didn't answer. Because love doesn't abandon you at a will reading. The doors closed behind him. Applause slowly filled the room. But my hands were shaking. Not from fear. From adrenaline. Because even though Mark had lost everything, there was still one final move left. One he never saw coming. And I wasn't done yet. The applause faded, but the noise inside my head didn't. I smiled, I nodded. I thanked people who hugged me and whispered, "You're so brave." Cameras followed my every step, but I felt strangely calm. Mark was gone. Or so everyone thought. When I got home that night, my phone was silent. No calls, no messages. For the first time in months, Mark wasn't trying to reach me. That should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like the quiet before a storm. I poured a glass of water and sat on my bed without turning on the lights. My grandmother's pearl necklace lay on the dresser, catching the moonlight. You did well, her voice echoed in my memory. I barely slept. The next morning, my assistant called early. Emily, she said, breathless, you need to see this. She sent a link. Headline after headline filled my screen. Air expuses, gold-digging husband AT gala. Betrayal, wealth, and public humiliation. Carter Family Trust remains SEALED. Insider says more to come. More to come. I smiled. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. You ruined my life, Mark's voice said. I leaned back. Good morning to you too, I said calmly. You planned all of this, he snapped. You made me look like a monster. You did that yourself, I replied. I just turned on the lights. There was heavy breathing on the other end. You think this is over? He asked. No, I said honestly. I think this is the middle. He laughed, a broken, ugly sound. You're not as innocent as you pretend, he said. I know things. My fingers tightened around the phone. What things? I asked. You think I didn't prepare, he said. You think I didn't keep insurance. That word sent a chill through me. Be careful, Emily, he continued. People fall from high places. The line went dead. I sat still for a long moment. Then I stood and went straight to my father's office. He called, I said. My father nodded like he expected it. He's desperate, he said. Desperate people are dangerous. What does he know? I asked. My father hesitated. Enough to try, he said, not enough to win. That didn't comfort me. By afternoon, I noticed something strange. My email wouldn't load. My bank app froze. My assistant called again. There's a problem, she said. Someone tried to access restricted family files last night. My chest tightened. Who? I asked. She paused. The attempt came from Mark's old login credentials. I laughed softly. He really doesn't know when to stop, I said. But my hands were shaking. That evening, I met Jake for coffee. You okay? He asked. I will be, I said. Mark thinks he still has leverage. Jake leaned forward. Then he hasn't learned, he said. No, I agreed. He hasn't. As I drove home, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message. A photo. I pulled over to look. It was a picture of my grandmother's old journal. The one no one knew existed. Except Mark. My heart pounded. Then another message came. I kept copies. Meet me if you want them back. I stared at the screen. Mark wasn't begging anymore. He was bargaining. And for the first time since the gala, I felt something sharp rise in my chest. Not fear. Excitement. Because now the game had changed. And this time, Mark had walked straight into a trap he didn't even see. I started the car and smiled. Careful what you ask for, I whispered. Because if Mark thought losing everything was painful. Mark wanted a meeting. Of course he did. He chose the place this time, a quiet cafe near the river, far from cameras and Carter's security. He thought being away from power would make him powerful again. I arrived alone. Mark was already there, thinner, tired, eyes moving too fast. The man who once walked proudly beside me now looked like someone waiting for a verdict. You came, he said. I always do, I replied. You're the one who leaves. His jaw tightened. You think you won, he said, but you didn't. I sat down calmly. You stole my grandmother's journal, I said. That's a crime. He smirked. I made copies, he said. Pages about hidden accounts, old land, things your family doesn't want public. I leaned back. You don't understand that journal, I said. His smile faded. What do you mean? He asked. It wasn't a map to money, I said. It was a test. He laughed. Nice story. I took out my phone and slid it across the table. On the screen was a document. Police report, filed that morning. Mark's name was highlighted. "What is this?" he asked, voice cracking. "A confession," I said, "written by you." His face went white. "I never wrote that," he said. "No," I agreed. "You dictated it." I tapped the screen. "Voice recordings," I said. "From months ago, when you bragged about marrying me for access, when you admitted planning to leave after the will." His mouth opened. Nothing came out. "My grandmother knew men like you," I continued. "That journal was bait. Anyone who took it proved who they were." "You set me up," he whispered. "No," I said softly. "You walked into it." He stood up fast. "You can't do this," he said. "I'll tell everyone everything." I looked him straight in the eye. "And they'll ask," I said, "why a man with nothing to hide stole a dead woman's private journal." He sat back down slowly. Defeated. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. I thought about it. About the girl who laughed at a spilled drink. About the woman abandoned at a will reading. About the man begging now. "I want my name free," I said, "and I want you gone." He nodded. "I'll disappear," he said. "No interviews, no leaks." "Good," I said, standing up, "because if you don't—" "I know," he said. "You'll finish me." I walked away without looking back. Weeks later, Mark was charged for fraud and attempted unauthorized access. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just consequences. Lisa sent me one final message. "He's still talking about you," she wrote. I deleted it. Some people don't deserve closure. Months passed. Life became quiet again, real quiet, the kind that heals. One evening, I sat by the lake house my grandmother left me and read her final letter again. "You will know you've won when you stop needing revenge." I closed the letter and smiled. Because Mark didn't lose his future the day he begged. He lost it the day he chose wealth over love. And I didn't take anything from him. I simply let him lose what he was never meant to have. Thanks for watching. Kindly drop your comment about this story. And please subscribe to this channel and on the notification for more interesting stories.